Hi guys, welcome back to Everyday Fitness. You got Liam here.
And Matthew here.
So again, we're having to do these sort of anomaly uploads for now. It's just what we've got to do given the circumstances. Hopefully it won't be too much longer, but again, we're just going to go through a few more questions that we've been getting recently off clients and sort of active gym goers. So we're going to dive into them and sort of touch on a couple of other issues as well. Matt, what have you got?
Yeah, so one of the first questions we got through was someone talking about whether it's important for them to, or they can't really decide whether to maintain during lockdown or to go into the fat loss phase, and what might be best for them given the situation. And I've had quite a few people really, actually, including like clients as well, sort of be concerned about this. I think what it comes down to for most people is that they're worried about losing muscle mass with being in a fat loss phase, I think, is most people's concern. So for me, really, it's going to come down to sort of what's most important for you and then your long-term goal. So if you want to come out of this situation, say if your long-term goal is to add muscle mass, and you want to come out of this situation in a good place to add muscle mass, then potentially going through a fat loss phase might put you in a better position. If your goal is just fat loss and you've got a time frame, then if you've got a time frame, you might have to continue with fat loss. But if you haven't got a time frame and you're really concerned with just maintaining muscle mass, then maybe maintaining is the best thing to do right now. Because I don't know about you, but I think like a lot of people sort of have an issue with maintaining or don't like the idea of maintaining because they feel like they're just not doing anything.
I think most people, when it comes to, you've obviously got two sides, and you've got fat loss and you've got muscle gain, then obviously you've got the on the fence sort of outlook, and that is obviously maintaining. Now, I think some people just put it down to maybe like a little bit of naivety somewhat, and just think that it's a bit inefficient and a waste of time, like they could be doing something else that in their eyes is superior. But it is important at some stage to go through that stage, because not only is it obviously giving you, like, it's giving you a rest throughout all aspects as well. So, you know, if you're still wanting to dive into your sort of fat loss phase, but really you need to maintain, and sort of you're going to get added stress that's sort of negated there as well. So that's going to be lifted. And obviously sort of the implications from a physical standpoint as well. So you'll get a little bit more rest as well. But it doesn't mean, like, I think some people, when it comes to maintaining, some people sort of perceive it to be like deload, and like they assume that they just don't have to do as much because there's not like a certain goal. Like you've got to have like a numerical fucking like standpoint to have and to reach. Oh, I need to lose this, or I need to gain this to be in this position to look. They always want to like maybe like a visual representation as well. They always want something. But I think it's important not to sort of skirt over the fact that maintaining is still important and necessary for quite a lot of people right now. I would sort of assume.
Yeah, I think a lot of people as well. So say for example, if there's people who perhaps, should we say, don't control as much stuff and maybe just don't have as much knowledge as other people, but for a lot of people who don't like really take into account their recovery and stuff, I think maintenance right now might actually be perfect for people, because it's not uncommon for people to like go into the gym, train like 5-6 times a day, and do like, even like the average gym goer might do like classes like twice a day. So a lot of people just go all in. So you might have people who were going all in before all this started, their recovery being not great. Now they might have a chance to maintain where they're at, but just let their body completely sort of relax, recover, which then might, when they go back to the gym later on, hopefully one, taught them something, but two, might put them in a good place to go again. But just to quickly jump on and talk about the sort of losing muscle mass, if you're concerned about that, I think if you're on the ball with it, I don't think really you're in that much danger. If being at maintenance puts you in a better position to maintain muscle mass and fat loss, yes, because you're not in a deficit. But if you're having enough protein intake, And if you are doing resistance training, even if that's just with bands, not going to be as good a stimulus, but still going to give you something, I think you're probably going to be all right. I just probably wouldn't risk very harsh deficits right now.
Yeah, I'd say the number one thing that I sort of would advise is take another self-assessment, see where you are, see where your body's at, and see what your long-term goal is. Now, if you've still got a long way in sort of your fat loss goal, then I think the answer is pretty clear what you need to do there. But again, if you're on the other side and sort of you're in a like a muscle gaining phase and you're sort of reluctant and under the belief that you might be losing it, you've then just got to sort of pull out other variables, other factors that can sort of improve that outlook essentially. Now, methods through training, increasing intensity and stuff, like Matt said, resistance bands aren't as good as resistance training. So resistance machines in the gym are obviously superior, but everyone's in the same boat effectively, other than obviously the wealthy who've got home gyms and shit. So just making the most of it and being efficient with your time is what I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's basically going to come down to the individual, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your situation, your goal.
Yeah, right. So next question that we had quite an interesting one actually. I never actually thought of it, and I hadn't had it before. And it was in regards to expenditure primarily, and whether resistance training or sort of steps, which one was superior if on like time constraint. So effectively, which one should you prioritize over the other? That's really quite interesting because I think it's got a simple answer, and I would say resistance training. However, it is again quite a subjective matter now. Some people are obviously on tighter schedules right now than others, and I think that gap is massive as well because you've got some people doing absolutely nothing at one end of the scale. Then you've got people who are still working, so they may be key workers, or they might have kids, so they might have busy schedules. Now, we need to sort of determine which one is going to be the most efficient going forward. And again, that's assessing what your goal is as well, especially. But I think the blanket answer that I'd give would be resistance training. But again, there's factors that go into it, is what I'd say.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, this, because again, depending on the individual, their goal and the situation, to some degree, I think I'd maybe actually sway the other way. It's a difficult one because I think if it's a case of, if it's like a long-term focus, but I think the question was more down the line of sort of like on the day, if you're struggling for time, which one should you prioritize? I'd probably go for step count, only because I think it would bring in sort of other factors that are going to be beneficial. So, for example, getting outside, the light exposure, stress management, stuff like that, which I think is going to be beneficial long term than just a sole weight train session or resistance train session. So, if it was me, I'd probably go for the step count, just for the sort of, you can get other things done towards your goal within that sort of that target, that session, whatever it might be outside. But yeah, I think it's hard to really say one's not better than the other. They both got the different sort of advantages. They both got the different sort of things to consider. But if you had to prioritize one over the other, for me, I think I would probably go with the steps. Difficult.
I think it's it is a close one. It's quite a difficult question to answer actually, but I think if you were to categorize it as best as you could, I think if you're in a fat loss phase, I think prioritizing steps would be more beneficial than resistance training. Obviously, it depends on the period of time that you're not going to be training for, etc. If it's just one day, then if you just skip sort of resistance training for one day, obviously it's not going to do too much harm. And neither really in the long term is missing your steps for the day. Yeah. However, if you're in a sort of muscle gaining phase in a surplus with the goal to add lean muscle tissue, and you were then skipping resistance training for steps, obviously there's then that sort of caveat that needs to be vice versa. But again, it's subjective to sort of the time period as probably the number one factor, and then obviously dependent on your goals as well.
Yeah, well, probably.
It's a good argument, though.
It's a good question, but I think probably the best answer, which again is probably the boring one, really, is just meet in the middle, just reduce step target, and do session. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe if it's a case of I need to hit 12, I'm meant to hit 12,000 steps, but I can't because I don't have the time to also get a session in. Well, then today just hit 8,000 steps and get a session in.
Yeah. Also, on that, a bit of a harsher sort of answer, and this doesn't go directly just to the person who answered the question, so please don't take offence, but to people that often, like some people are quite misled and they believe they don't have as much time in the day as they think. That's because they don't prioritise time management as well as they should. And if you really sort of got down into a structured routine and a tight schedule, more than likely you will actually be able to get in both. I know obviously you might be sat there thinking, I can only do one. But if you sort of broke it down into sort of what you do throughout the day, what time you get up, it can all be broken down sort of into sort of micro factors. So just be aware of your time management for yourself as well. And obviously if then you really don't have the time, then that's where we need to, like Matt said, probably meet in the middle. If it came to it, probably doesn't.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. What was the next one you had?
I was just going to mention, it wasn't a question. Well, it was slightly, it was put to me, but it was somebody, one of my clients actually was just questioning sort of the efficiency of working at home and the advantages of it, because we were just trying to like keep positive, because obviously there's a lot of negativity about at the moment, and I just wanted to make sure people were aware of some of the positive effects of training at home. Now, obviously it's not great, as a disclaimer, the gym is superior. However, if you think you're training at home with just a resistance band, for example, as most people have got that minimal equipment. If you think that you can sort of nail the intensity, execute each exercise with great intent, then just think how easy it's going to be when you get back to the gym and you've got your resistance machines back. Imagine it's essentially going from nothing to best case scenario. So don't be sort of reluctant or disheartened that you're not making the progress you maybe were in the gym initially. As long as you're making some progress, that's better than nothing. But I'll just make sure you're not sort of too hard on yourself with thinking that your training's not good enough, because you've just got to think how it's going to compare when you get back into the gym. If you glass half full sort of look at it like that as an outsider, it's the exact same with sort of all the sort of external factors as well that we're experiencing. So sort of getting outside, we're obviously only limited to sort of an hour a day. I had an hour and 10 the other day, so sorry, Boris. But what I'm trying to say is, because we're so limited right now with everything that we can do, with everything we can do, we're all really, really limited. Imagine when we've got all this freedom, we can go to the gym, we can go out and get steps in sort of freely, go wherever we want. It's just going to be so much easier. And people need to realise that obviously this isn't forever. It's just something for the time being. But just don't be sort of too sort of hard on yourself, is what I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, my sort of where I am with home trainings now is like, if you haven't got over the fact that you have to train at home now, we're like 6 weeks in, I'm just like, come on. But like you said,
So you should blame the parents.
But like you said, there's a lot where you can actually take away from this. So like, even if you're training right now and you're like, I don't feel like this, I'm progressing that much, when it's not the end of the world, because there's a lot you can do that when you go back to the gym, your training at the gym is going to absolutely fly.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're having to make it hard with a fucking band, then when you get to the gym and you keep that same thought process, I need to make this as hard as I can, but now you have weight, a better stimulus, and you can progress that weight over time. Just think of how fucking the results you're going to get. Because
Yeah.
one of the biggest things is people don't train hard enough. That's one of the biggest things. So if you can force yourself to train hard enough at home with shit equipment, then what is that going to do when you get to the gym?
Yeah, it's all about the mindset. It's just improving sort of the positivity that it's going to have, not only to your training but to your general sort of mindset towards your goal. Because like if you're watching this and you sort of know that when you're in the gym sometimes it's a half-hour session, then if you take sort of that to you now trying to, like Matt said, make exercises as difficult as possible by tightening or lengthening resistance bands, adding dumbbells, increasing the distance between sort of the structure or where the force is coming from, then you're laughing when you get to the gym. Like everything's going to be a winner, and it's going to feel hard still, but it's going to be that good feeling because you know that you've essentially transformed your home mindset, not the workouts necessarily, but your sort of outlook on how difficult it should be, and you just transform it into sort of another situation where it's just going to be ever more efficient.
Yeah, I think, like you said as well, like it's going to improve mindsets, like discipline as well. You know, like right now, doing shit you don't want to do is probably the situation most people are in. You know, like if I was to sit here and say that I've wanted to do every home session, I'd be lying. There's been plenty of sessions I've been like, Joe, I can't really be arsed. I'd rather be in the gym. But guess what? We haven't got one. So you just got to get it done. So sort of discipline and mental toughness that will come with this.
Yeah. Innovation as well. I think it's a good, like we've got to really, I mean, obviously us as coaches, we can sort of tell our clients what to do and sort of improvise with them. But I think you've got to have a really sort of broad sort of spectrum of ideas of what you can do with certain sort of exercises, because I've literally got one resistance band, I've got a resistance band, and for ages I've actually got it here. I was using a toilet roll as a foam roller until I got one. And my workouts have genuinely never been harder. Like the intensity right now for me is through the roof. I know it's the same for Matt. So it's just about sort of improvising and adapting just with the situation. And as we keep saying, it's not for fucking ever, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's not forever. We are going to go back to a gym at some point.
Yeah, but having said that, we're probably not going to be in a gym for minimum 4 weeks. So get training.
Yeah.
But yeah, not to end on a unpositive note, negative note. But yeah, I don't think I've really got much more to add to that.
Yeah, the main takeaways from this are just stay positive and just think of the benefits that you're going to get from it. Like it's improving so many skills that you probably thought that you were good at, and then realize that, like, because most people like to go out on weekends and stuff. I understand. Well, to some degree, I understand where it comes from. However, now, because you're forced not to do that, you've sort of like self-taught your own discipline, but that's then going to be tested again. Like, don't think that you've just now got discipline and it's there forever, because that's not how it works, mate. Because when you go back into this gym situation, yeah, you've got your training back, that's fine. You've got your friends back, that's fine. But you've got the weekends as well now. You've got two options. You apply everything you've learned to your new situation, which is what you should be doing, or you can sort of go back to old ways and shag it on a weekend. You've got two options, man. So just be careful about how you sort of progress into sort of your resistance training when it does come. I know it's obviously a bit early to say, but like it could be a few weeks and we could be back in, so you never know. So just keep the mindset that you're sort of running now and keep building sort of each individual skill.
Yeah. Definitely learning from it. Like you said, like if people need to like realize what they're struggling with now, if they're struggling with because they've no longer got a routine and that's hard, then when you get back into this, make sure you've got no excuse for now for your time plan management and planning to not be on point, because you know it's going to help. If you've struggled with not having something, not knowing what to do, then when you get back to the gym, sure, you might have known exercises, but now hopefully you understand the importance of programming, not only from a I'm no longer going to wing sessions, but it goes a lot further than that to progressions and all that. So if you weren't following a program previously, when you get to the gym, start following one. Whatever you're struggling with now, whatever's been highlighted, learn from it, take it forward, and then, like we said, when you get back to the gym, everything's going to fly.
Yeah. Lastly, just before we go, if you are not aware, we are fitness coaches. Did we tell you? Hopefully we did. If not, our links are in the description, and on each of our Instagram handles and Facebook, we have Facebook groups going through specifically each aspect of your training in nutrition and any other factors, but specifically what I'm advising it for is altering and adjusting and increasing intensity of your workouts. If you're struggling to sort of reach the heights of intensity you were once in the gym, then I would definitely go and check out our socials and just sort of implement sort of the things that we sort of say and do. And I assure you, you will feel shagged.
Yeah, Everyday Fitness Education on Facebook. Search it. Join it.
Be there or be square. Right. I think that's about everything for this week. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Again, if you've got any more questions, just drop them below in the comments. Like I said, our social medias are in the comments as well. So go over, check them out. And like Matt said, we've got essentially a private Facebook group, which is free to join. And it's for people wanting to, sort of progress with their sort of fitness goal, but also gain a better understanding and sort of develop their own personal knowledge on everything fitness, essentially. So go over and check that out. It's Everyday Fitness Education on Facebook. Get joining and we'll see you there, hopefully, and we can be mates.
Sweet. Happy days.
I think that's everything. Right.
Yep. Thanks for watching.
Guys.